you live ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday. It is January 6th. We roll on in a crazy week. The transfer portal still ongoing. News breaking left and right. If any breaks during this show, we will have it for you. Here in segment one, we'll talk about the latest news that we know. Pirates now have 3 confirmed public commitments out of the portal. We'll get to that. We touched on a couple of those guys on Monday's show. We'll continue to break that down as well. Several prospects on campus last night, including a quarterback prospect who is in town for an official visit, Mitch Griffiths from Texas Tech, former Wake Forest starter. We'll talk about that. Give you the latest on the quarterback conversation as we can on this Tuesday. Looking forward to the week ahead. I said it would be a fluid week. I am doing my best to get some former Pirate players on the show. We're scheduled on Wednesday, just to give you guys a rundown, a heads up, scheduled to have Peyton Mangrum, who of course had the game-winning catch against Memphis. And Peyton Mangrum also, I've discovered, talking with him, played his final collegiate game without an ACL. So we'll get into that conversation with Peyton Mangrum when he joined us on Wednesday. We're also scheduled to have Sam Danka join us Wednesday, working on Marlon Gunn and also Raheem Craig as well. So a lot of former Pirates set to join us throughout the week, and then we'll continue to bring you the latest on the portal as well. Philip Pilkington, he's back in the 94.3 The Game studios. We also have our comment section open if you guys want to address or ask anything. It'll be a fluid show this week, so please drop your comments, and we'll get to those if we can throughout the show. Philip, how are you doing on this Tuesday as we continue on this busy week?
Good. It's exciting. A lot of stuff going on. I wish a few more things would have gone on, I guess, so far. But, hey, when you're number 65 or whatever in the pecking order, that's how it is. But at least here in I believe our second segment, we'll be able to talk about the coaches. And it's going to be tough to put Jimmys and Joes out there if there's nobody to call the X's and the O's, and it looks like this staff is finally coming together. So it makes recruiting a lot easier, both in the portal and at the high school level. So I'm sure a lot of things will be happening as the week goes on, and I think our 5 shows this week will probably, Friday might be a little different, but the first 4 shows are probably going to be a little repetitive in the type of content, which maybe makes it for a little bit of a boring week, but it's informative, and it's part of the world we live in. So here we go, baby, full speed ahead. Let's get right to it.
There is a lot happening, and it's just crazy, man. I really want to write a book on some of this stuff I hear behind the scenes. Let's start first with some news. We had a couple Pirate players enter the portal yesterday that I thought would have made a contribution next year. A lot of this stuff is based upon guys either not getting the money they think they can get or should get, and I'm sure there's some wiggle room in the negotiations for returning players, but also I don't think ECU and the staff is really going to let a guy dictate, to a certain extent, the negotiation process. So, you get a number if you're unwilling to play for that number. If you want starter-level numbers in the American, you got to go perform like it. So, anyways, ECU loses a couple players who could have been starting caliber players next season. Justin Benton, defensive lineman, who played between 200, 300 snaps, would have been a rotational piece next year. He enters the portal with 3 years of eligibility remaining. And you have Preston Carr coming back. You've got Ryan Roseborough, Josiah Robinson, Kieran Davis, some young D tackles in the program that are I think have a chance to be really good. So, a loss from an experience standpoint, but also like a rotational defensive lineman I think is replaceable. I would like to see Justin Benton come back, continue his ECU career, but he enters the portal. The big one, I think, Jordy Lowry, he enters the portal after 1 year at ECU. Jordy really didn't start the year good at all compared to expectations. He was probably the biggest name recruit ECU got from the portal last year, All-American at Western Carolina. Made some plays late in the season. I thought played some of his best football. I think ECU wanted to see him come back, kind of prove himself a little bit more, and I think he'll have some suitors in the portal, but he chooses to enter the portal. And you look at the loss of Lowry, I think that's a little bit more, I don't want to say concerning, but at least a little bit more of an emphasis now to replace, because you not only lose Lowry, you also lose A group of seniors, Tymere Brown, Chance Graves, Rashid Reason, Key Crowell, another corner, entered the portal. Jonathan Akins, I'm not really sure what his status is. He didn't play a snap last year after coming in from Maryland, so you're almost at a complete reset again in the cornerback room. Of course, we talked about Ashton Levels committed as a cornerback transfer from FIU. You also have Darion Horsley, a young guy, also Angelo Ross, a young guy, and a couple other younger corners. But I don't know, Philip, losing those two guys, it's just – at the end of the day, I guess if you're ECU, you don't want to – the last thing you want to do is overpay for guys who you probably deem internally replaceable. So it's just more roster churn we're going through yet again. It's just going to be this way until there's some sort of consistent contract system in place, and I just don't know the answer. But I tell you this, I trust Blake Carroll when it comes to evaluating defensive talent, and that's what I'm going to lean on more than anything else.
Yeah, I'm with you. He is or has proven it in the past that he can go out there and do that. It's something he did last year. There was a lot of turnover on that roster. A lot of good guys came in. And to your point, Stephen, yes, I am 100% against overpaying a guy just for the sake of having retention. It does help, especially early in the season. If you've had a lot of guys who have played together, in an ideal world, you would be able to retain a lot of your player personnel. However, with that being said, East Carolina does not have unlimited money. If you were Texas Tech and money came out of the ground in the form of Texas T, then you know what? Whatever. Overpay for guys. Try and keep everybody here. Try and go out there with the same starting 22 that you had last year, minus the guys who were out of eligibility. We are not in that scenario right now. We can get guys that are at the same level of skill, coming up from the FCS level, coming over from the Sun Belt, coming from the MAC. And yes, it makes more work for the coaching staff. I feel bad for them, but unfortunately, that is the state of college football. And right now, I would rather pay a guy who's worth $100,000, and the coach had to go out and get him, than pay the guy who came here last year, who's the same player skill-wise, who's also worth $100,000, but pay him $250 just because he was here, and can probably go get $250 at Virginia Tech or wherever the hell he ends up going. So it is what it is. Like I said, I feel bad for the coaches. It really does stink. Glad I didn't get into coaching. Glad I got into broadcasting. That was the other profession I had considered going into. Not envying the coaches right now, but it is the right decision by East Carolina to handle it the way they are handling it.
Philip, I've got a potential business opportunity. Not that we want to lose you at 94-3 the game, but if you are looking to make some money, you can become one of these fake agents, NIL representatives, and you can make a lot of money right now. You don't even have to be certified. So if you need something to do, I can hook you up. I got some contacts, so let me know.
If we get back to a summer portal, things are kind of slow here at IBX Media in the summer. If we get to a summer portal window, I might do that as a side gig. So I appreciate the plug there. But right now we're just at too busy of a time with basketball and football going on for me to do the agent side of things. Between January 2nd and January 16th, that's just unfortunate because I could use a little beer money, but it is what it is.
Speaking of basketball, Carolina Grind wants an ECU versus Temple preview. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but listen, I know we've gotten some talk about basketball, and people want us to do a full basketball show where we kind of discuss the state of the program. I am for all that when the time is right. Now, I just think with the way the basketball team is performing and the need for football information and the NFL playoffs and the CFP playoffs and baseball coming up, we're going to have basketball shows, but right now we're focused on football. No disrespect
second half
to
of
hoops.
January. We can do a lot of basketball.
Yeah, so, we'll have plenty of time. We got plenty of shows. So, all right, speaking of, Lane says, when do we get a baseball pod? Probably once this portal period is done in the next week or two, we will turn our attention to baseball. We'll have kind of positional previews, what to expect. We'll go super in-depth, so looking forward to that. Lane also adds, this transfer portal stuff is just depressing and a joke. A guy committed to a school, then a day later is that another one. Yeah, did you see the Kenny Minchie stuff? Notre Dame transfer. I even said yesterday on the show he was committed heading to Nebraska, and that lasted about 24 hours. Kenny Minchie is now on his way. He flipped his commitment. I don't know, man. This stuff is just ridiculous. And this is a guy who obviously has talent. He ended up going to Kentucky. because Kentucky thought they were going to get another quarterback, and they ended up having to drop a bag, Kenny Minchie. This guy, highly touted, but has hardly played. And I don't know, man. If you can't keep your honor, and don't make a commitment if you can't keep it. I understand if he got $1 million more or whatever, but this whole stuff is just getting out of hand. So that's just kind of a summation of many of the things I'm hearing behind the scenes. Not that guys are flipping like that, but it's just a cluster and a half right now. All right, we reported last night on Hoist the Colors. Mitch Griffiths confirmed he's in town for his official visit. I am hearing they're going to have lunch at Sup Dogs, so if you guys want to go say hey to Mitch Griffiths, he might be there. That's not 100% confirmed he will be there, but I think there are going to be some staff members over there. So Mitch Griffiths, former Wake Forest quarterback, former Texas Tech backup this past season. He's a guy who, he's kind of tough for me to evaluate because he was in the slow mesh system at Wake, which is a completely different offense than the air raid, which is predicated on quick passes, short passing game. He looked much more comfortable in Texas Tech gear, but also a lot of that was in garbage time, although he did play in Oklahoma State, one of the worst teams in the Big 12, in the Power 4, and looked really good. So I think he's a guy who knows the system, again, comes from that tree that Jordan Davis comes from as far as the same offensive system, veteran guy. I don't think from talking with people that he's like the only quarterback target. I think they've got some more things in the works. I think they are going to bring in two. But if ECU wants an older, established guy who knows the system, then I think it makes a lot of sense. And I've heard, Philip, like mentor-wise, maturity-wise, even if he doesn't win the job, I think he's somebody who can really obviously be prepared, but also just like mentor younger players in the program. So whether he ends up a Pirate or not, I don't know. But your thoughts on Mitch Griffiths coming in as a visit?
Yeah, the thing is I think Chastendita still needs some of that mentorship, right? I think Caton was there, but it was a one-year deal. And, for the first half of that, Chastendita was drinking through a fire hose because it was his true freshman season, not a redshirt freshman season like he'll be in next year, but his true freshman season. With that being said, Griffiths, look, this isn't the sexiest name in the portal. This isn't the most experienced guy. Well, guess what? Neither was Caton Hauser. And when you're a school in the group of five, with the exception of a few, South Florida being one of those due to their fully vested NIL, maybe Memphis due to a heavily vested NIL, and maybe some other schools like Boise State with a lot of history. These are the kind of guys you're going to get. You bring in two, you have them duke it out for the job, you hope it works. You hope you don't choose the wrong guy for the job. I'm not trying to bag on, Jake Garcia, but obviously it didn't go as well as we wanted to. Now, some of that could have been due to the offense coordinator's hand being held by the head coach. Might have something to do with it, but at the end of the day, the wrong guy is based off the statistics, based off film, was given the starting job. Caton takes over the job. The rest is history. This is the kind of guy you're going to get. And if you know a guy knows the system, so he's not going to be drinking through fires, you know a guy who's mature and a leader and a good person, that's the foundation. Because at the end of the day, what happens if you get a guy who's in his same situation as far as hadn't played a lot, but he's a jerk? At least we can build around this guy, hope it works out. But I know a lot of people don't want to go off hope. But, hey, if you don't want to go off hope, go be a fan of Alabama, Ohio State, or Texas. Then you can go off,
No doubt. I mean, that's one of those things. Look, when Caton Hauser and Jake Garcia committed here, neither was a sure thing. That's why you bring in two guys. And as we said, it's an inexact science right now. Recruiting always has been, always will be. All the data, all the film, you just don't know. The quarterback position, the system, the players around it, the fit, the coaching, it all matters, and it's hard to predict. So I bring in as many guys as you can. In an ideal world, you bring in an experienced guy like this, a young guy with upside who's maybe not as proven but has a high ceiling, and Chastendita. Somebody asked, what do we think of Chastendita? Robert says, what potential do you see in Dita? Played a solid first start while injured. Was Chastendita injured? I don't remember Chastendita being injured. He says hamstring. Was that reported somewhere? If so, I missed it. But look, Chastendita had the toughest task possible for a first career start, and I thought he handled himself well. Now, the reality is you take out two big plays of Anthony Smith, and what did he really do? And I'm not trying to bag on the young man. I think he's got a really high future, but I'm just saying Anthony Smith did a lot of work to help him out. Anthony Smith did a lot of work to help Caden Hauser out. So I just think we need a bigger sample size. The thing I like most about Chasten Ditta is he wasn't afraid of the moment. He looked gutsy. He looked prepared. I would try to get Ditta into this quarterback competition as much as possible. Does he have the highest ceiling in the world due to his size and stature? No, but I think he's a good fit for the air raid. So I want Chasten Ditta to stay here. He's got 4 years of eligibility left. I don't know what he's going to do, but I think it would be in his best interest to stay here and compete because I think he's got as good a shot as any right now to be the starter next year. Now we'll see who else ECU brings in, but if he goes into the portal and goes somewhere else, unless he goes to an FCS school, Phillip, I don't think he's got a legitimate shot to win a starting job right now at the FBS level. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a Sun Belt or CUSA school willing to give him that chance, but I think ECU will let him compete for the job.
I think they will, and I think they should. This is a kid who coming in was maybe not the highest recruited guy, but he came in late, and we really hit high on him. And you and I were out there for a lot of spring ball, and I thought really he was the second best quarterback in spring ball. Now doing it at practice and doing it at games is completely different. However, he has played a football game now. Did he look perfect? No. Did he make the plays it took for the team to win the game? Yes, he did. So, he could go somewhere else. Yes, he could probably go down and stand a better chance to start, but I do not see him getting an opportunity even at a parallel move. And I'm even going to count really even the Sun Belt and CUSA as a parallel move for the sake of this conversation, where he would even be really considered for the starting job, unless he was the only guy they were able to bring in, and he's competing with another guy at the same kind of level as him, maybe a redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore who hasn't played a lot, and this team tried to go out and get other people and are unsuccessful. That is, I think, the only way that he is in a better situation than he is here, is if just a team is unsuccessful in getting bodies out of the portal. I think his best chance to start right away would have to be maybe even down to the Division II level. And I'm not saying that he's a Division II quarterback. He's much better. But even a lot of these FCS schools are going to go with a more proven guy. It's just the nature of the beast. So I hope he stays. I really do think if you can get an older guy to come in and start, and he can be your true number 2 for the entirety of the season, there's no reason he's not starting the following season. You'd still bring in somebody else to compete with him. You'd need a solid backup. Now, Cole Hodge, as far as I know, is still technically on the team, right? He's a redshirt freshman. Or no, this was his true freshman season because he didn't enroll in school last year due to the injury he sustained in the spring. So, could it be a Cole Hodge situation? I don't know. I would guess if Ditta stays the number 2, Hodge would probably be gone eventually. But, hey, that's just speculation.
A lot of moving parts, and this is why coaches get paid the big bucks, at least at this level, as they got a lot to sort through, and guys have decisions to make. We'll continue to bring you latest on the quarterback market, quarterback situation. Let's get a break in. A lot of questions in the chat. We will circle back to those, I promise. Next up, I do want to get into the discussion of this coaching staff, how it's come together. Blake Harrell having to revamp some things with the loss of both coordinators. We'll get into that and more. Share our thoughts on some of the new hires. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Allen, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Oh, hey, welcome back. You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday. Busy week with the portal going on. We will talk with some former Pirates, now former Pirates, and longtime Pirates as this week progresses. Tomorrow, scheduled to join the show, Sam Danka, also Peyton Mangrum. I'll tell you about an interesting story with Peyton, who finished the season playing without an ACL. And also scheduled to get on the show at a later date, Marlon Gunn and Raheem Craig. So we'll talk to those guys. Today we're talking a lot of portal. We'll continue that discussion as well. Philip Pilkington back in the 94.3 The Game studios. In our next segment, we'll circle back and answer some of your questions on YouTube. Also may look at the NFL playoffs in a little bit too. So I want to focus this segment on the coaching staff. Blake Harrell will be going into, I guess, year 3. Do we call it year 3 or do we call it year 2, Philip? Because he'll be going into year 3 as head coach, although he only became the full-time head coach this past offseason. So now I'm confused as to what we exactly term this as. Technically year 7 if you're counting his entire ECU time.
Yeah, but it's year 2, right? He didn't build the roster. He didn't hire the staff for the 2024 season. He did coach 8 games, 7 regular season, 1 postseason contest, but at the end of the day, he was just given what he was given, and he had to just figure it out. And he did a damn good job at figuring it out. But I don't think you credit that year. You could now. I shouldn't say credit. Credit, yes, I give all the credit to Blake Harrell. But as far as a full season where you do the portal, you do the recruiting, this is year 2.
So year 2 of a full-time head coach, second full offseason, and the staff looks almost, not almost completely different, but half different. 5 of the 10 coaches, as far as on-the-field position coaches, the highly paid assistants, are brand new. So let's just run through it and then we'll give some thoughts. So I jotted down the whole staff here. So John David Baker leaves. Obviously, that leads to a void at OC. Jordan Davis from North Texas brought in. We've talked about him a lot. Running backs coach news we haven't had a chance to talk to. Broke this, I think, Sunday night. Julian Griffin is the new running backs coach. He spent a year at Cal Berkeley. Also was at UTSA under Jeff Traylor before that. Hey, we'll finally figure out, Philip, if they were cheating. Is Julian Griffin now in Greenville? I guess we had Matt Maddox too, so maybe he would have known. He was a UTSA staffer, but we'll know for sure now. Receivers coach Juan Soto. No, not the Juan Soto of the Mets, but the Juan Soto who was previously with Jordan Davis at North Texas. He's coaching the receiver position. New offensive line coach Alex. I'm going to go Hattel. We don't know the pronunciation here, but H-U-E-T-T-E-L. We're going to go Alex Hattel from ODU. comes over from a team that won 10 games, had a very successful offense. And Hunter McKay is the tight ends coach right now, and I would assume he's going to stay on staff. At least that's the plan right now. He is recruiting a ton of tight ends in the portal. So there's your offensive staff. We'll start there, Phillip. What stands out to you most as you look at this offensive staff? Do you like how it came together on paper? Did you want to see anything different? What was kind of your takeaways?
You brought in two guys who have had success in this conference. That is huge in both your wide receivers coach and your running backs coach. Multiple years in this conference in successful offenses, attacking the defenses that we will be seeing, the coaching staffs that we will be seeing, the personnel that we will be seeing. They have a track record, proven success against them. That is huge. I'm not saying is going to translate to direct success. With that being said, though, it's better than taking a shot on a guy who, hey, can he do it at this level? Has he ever done it at this level? Does he even know what the hell he's getting himself into? These guys know what they're getting themselves into. This will not be a shock. They will not be drinking through a fire hose while trying to coach the young men in the facilities. They are ready to hit the ground running. I love it. There is a slim chance that there is going to be a large learning curve for a lot of these guys. There's going to be a little bit of a learning curve because they haven't worked together all before, but hey, that's what spring ball's for.
No doubt. It'll be a critical spring for the offense. I am most curious, if I had to question anything, just the relationship between the OC and the offensive line coach is always a vital one. I mean, I think those two guys got to be on the same page. So for me, I'm interested to see how that dynamic works because I'm sure that they've crossed paths at some point in the past. But Hattel coming over from ODU and Jordan Davis, the new offensive coordinator, how do they mesh together? It was a similar offense in some regards at ODU, but honestly, they ran more of the style that JDB ran more so than like a true air raid. But there are some elements that are certainly similar. But how do things differ from the ODU offense to this offense? How much of a learning curve is that? Are they looking at different personnel up front compared to what they're used to on either side? So I know we had a question earlier. Is ECU after offensive lineman in the portal? Absolutely. They have a guy on campus right now who's a very quality player, so they're looking to add there. And so that dynamic and also just some new guys working together, like Phillip said. Looking forward to see how that works out, but that is what the offseason's for. Anytime you have a new offensive coordinator, first-time play caller, offensive coordinator, you're going to have some new staff members that kind of have to learn how to mesh together. All right, defensive-wise, you guys will recognize a lot of these names. All right, defensive line coach, Roy Tesh. Now, he is going to be elevated to co-DC per my sources. Just to give you guys a heads up, I don't know the timeline for the official title / raise. These things at the university state level have to be, they got to go through a lot of layers of approval anytime you're looking at a title change or raise. So that is coming. I don't know when that'll be announced, but he will be back as D-line coach / co-defensive coordinator. Rico Zachary also back as outside linebackers coach. Jordan Hankins, defensive coordinator, is the one new addition on that side of the ball. He will coach linebackers, so kind of a seamless fit there, as that's what Josh Aldridge coached at ECU before going to South Florida. Cornerbacks coach Teron Williams will remain in, and then safety Damon Magazu. So the whole defensive staff is in place. And Jordan Hankins comes in to basically oversee everything, game plan, and then we know Blake Harrell is going to be heavily involved on the defensive side of the ball. So from my understanding, as I've said kind of all along, Hankins will come in, he'll add his wrinkles. He ran some of the 3 safety stuff that's become more popular in college football at Memphis, had a lot of success with it. I'm curious how much of that does he install to mesh with Blake Harrell's system, if any. But he has basically agreed, from my understanding, to kind of come in and call the plays for Blake's system, for Blake's defense. They'll probably keep his terminology, keep his stuff in place, and Hankins, who had taken some of that as his own at Memphis, he will run a lot of that and probably add some wrinkles as well. So I think the biggest difference here, Phillip, is when Aldridge came in, I don't know, and I don't know 100% if this is true or not, but I got the feeling that I don't think it was necessarily agreed upon that it would be mostly Blake's system or Blake's play calls, and I think that maybe raised some issues during the year, whereas I feel like this time the expectation is, all right, we've had a lot of success defense doing it this way. We don't want to veer too much away from it. We'll add your wrinkles, we'll add your personnel, but we want to continue to kind of run the system. And I think everybody's on the same page here, and Hankins really well-respected coach, players coach. I think this is a very good hire, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out. Your thoughts on the defensive staff?
I think this will go well if everyone is okay with the situation. I think that last year, Josh Aldridge, even though he was told the situation, I don't know if he was told before he was hired or he was told after spring ball and the defense was struggling.
We saw them get smoked again and again. Yeah. Let's just be real.
Let's just be honest here. Yeah. And I think the reason he made a parallel move was because he was not given the authority that he thought he was going to be given. So as for this defensive staff, if everyone is okay with the way things are going to be, which is a little unconventional, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I think it's whatever's best for the team, but let's be honest, it's unconventional. Then it will go well. If they're not okay with that, there could be turmoil, there could be resentment, and there could be issues. So I just hope this is being communicated. I think it is, because I trust the person who's in charge of doing the communication to do it. And as long as everybody's okay with it, it should be all sunshine and rainbows. But there is a little worry because somebody might think they're okay with it. Then you get put in a certain situation, and then the emotions get involved of, hey, my hands are being tied maybe more than I thought they were going to, and that can breed frustration.
And look, we can say Josh Aldridge maybe didn't have the gigantic impact we thought he might have, but like he was still calling the defensive plays, and ECU still ranked near the top of the country in a lot of statistical categories. So, I mean, the reality is, like, we still got to know how Hankins is going to be as a play caller, assuming that is what will happen with this system. Now, we saw in the Military Bowl, if needed, Blake can always go back to calling plays. I mean, and they can have a lot of success with it. I just think he would like to have somebody else call plays. The other thing here I wanted to mention before we get a break in, I think, look, if you're Blake Harrell and this ever constant changing landscape of college football where you're always going to have to be worrying about your personnel, I think keeping your system in place is the thing to do, because then no matter how long he's here, 5 more years, 1 more year, at least you know defensively we've got a plan that works every single offseason, no matter what turnover we have on the assistant staff, personnel. I know my plan works. I don't have to worry about that side of the ball as much. We can figure out offense. We can go pay guys to come here and play offense that can produce. And I think that at least gives you some sense of stability in an era where really you have no stability. Just as if you were an offensive coach, you would keep your offensive scheme for that reason as well. Brandon Forbush wants to know, will there be press conferences for the new coaches? I would assume once we get settled past this portal period, we'll have a chance for an introductory press conference for the new coordinators, but I don't know. They're pretty busy right now hosting visits, figuring out a roster for next year. They've got to get those guys in place. Otherwise, you're pretty screwed right now. So when the time is right, I'm sure we will hear from the coordinators. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll continue on. We'll answer your questions. Got a lot of those in the chat as we continue on Hoist the Colors.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors here on a Tuesday, segment number 3 here as we continue to roll on. Let's get to some of your questions on the Hoist the Colors Hoist the Colors chat on YouTube and Facebook. I'm sure we got some questions on the message board as well. Philip Pilkington back producing. All right, we have a question about signees. So here's the thing. All right, so people know the Kenny Minchie situation. He committed to Nebraska before flipping to Kentucky. My understanding is transfers, they sign grant and aids or some sort of document paper. I don't know what the official term is now. It's changed a bunch of times over the year. Either way, that binds the school to them, but not necessarily them to the school in many cases. So even if he signed with Nebraska, he could probably still get out of it and enroll somewhere else. There was a situation a few years ago. The young man, Keelan Marion, was the receiver who actually has gone on to have a very good career. He was transferring at the time from UConn. Keelan Marion transferring from UConn. He got to school for the winter semester. He had signed, he had enrolled at ECU, committed everything. Moved into his house in Pitt County, but he never stepped foot in the classroom. And legally speaking, talking with sources at the time, this was a couple years ago, since he never stepped foot in class, he was still free to leave and enroll at another school. And he ended up doing that. He went to BYU, which dropped a bag. Now he's at the University of Miami, the U, where this season he has 49 catches for 626 yards and a touchdown. He was on his way to ECU a couple of years ago. I believe that was going into 2023. So that's just one of the many things, the crazy things you will see in the portal era. So there's your latest on that. Kenny Curlin says, what about Marcus Stokes for quarterback? He's the guy from, I think, West Florida. I saw he was visiting App State. I have not heard his name. Now, he's got a background. You'd have to do some checking on, some vetting, I would say, there before you bring him in. But he is a guy who has some talent, and I think would be a a possibility if they were to go that route. But a lot of this stuff is honestly, guys, dictated upon what Jordan Davis sees. You're watching some of the targets, either they know the system or they are similar to Drew Mestamaker, guys who can get the ball out quick. They don't have to be great down the field passers. It's more about short accuracy, short passing game, decision making, IQ. All that stuff is more important than maybe just having an unbelievable skill set. Somebody wants to know, do we want to look at Deshaun Purdy, former Charlotte quarterback? He just entered the portal from Wake Forest. So, I don't know. I'd have to watch more tape. He's a very good quarterback prospect. I mean, he lit ECU up, big arm. My question would be the accuracy and just understanding how to get the ball out quickly. I've not watched enough to know, but Deshaun Purdy could be a guy to keep an eye on. He just entered the portal today. Another quarterback to keep an eye on who just entered the portal a couple hours ago, Emmett Brown from Coastal Carolina. He was projected to be the starter there. He was recruited originally to Washington State, where Jordan Davis once was. He was a starter at San Jose State, transferred to Coastal, was going to be the starter towards ACL. He's back in the portal now, so he's another name to watch. I just think, Phillip, as we go through this, you want somebody who at the least knows the system, because first-time play caller and just a lot of kind of unknowns with the offensive staff. Like, I feel better. I'm fine, too, taking a guy who knows upside, but if you got a guy who can come in and run the system, I think that gives you at least a safety net, at least a floor of having a pretty good quarterback. Because if you just take 2-3 unknowns, your chance of a bust rate, I think, goes up a little bit more.
I think you're right. And look, not that we should say, hey, we're okay with 6-6 and just making a bowl game. We're not. We want to compete for championships. We have the ability to compete for championships, but in the high roster turnover era, you're going to have misses, and you're going to have years that don't meet expectations. With that being said, if you have a crappy year, you need crappy year to be 6-6, not 2-10 like it was a few years ago. So if you bring in a young man like that, the floor's going to be 6-6, right? He's going to beat the teams he should beat. The schedule isn't that tough. Again, not what we're striving for, but you have to build that safety net in for yourself as a staff so you don't get canned, and also as a program so that young men coming to you in the future don't look at you as a poverty program. If you say, hey, our blimp on the radar, we missed on a QB at 6-6, they're like, okay, you're right. Good sample size here. Your bad year wasn't so bad. I still would have been able to play in a bowl game, but when your bad year's 2-10, that's a problem. So this is what that prevents. I'm okay with it.
No doubt, good thoughts for sure. Jay adding, when Lincoln came in, Shane Carden, whose only other offer was Harvard, became one of our best quarterbacks ever. We need someone who knows the system. If someone can beat him out, great. Could definitely be our guy. He adds, we need O-line and receiver targets. Yeah, Pirates already got a receiver commit, Jakeith Hamilton, we touched about yesterday. He's a guy who I think really good hands, 0 drops at the FCS level in 2025. And if you can catch the football at the FCS level, they use the same football in the FBS. So I'm pretty sure that will translate pretty well. I think he will be, at worst, a really solid possession receiver. Pirates also got a commitment from Christian Peterson from UCF. We didn't get a chance to talk about him yesterday. 3-star DB, projects as probably a nickel or safety that will play in the boundary. Good. Really good talent out of high school. Westlake High School was playing under Rico Zachary at the time, who was the head coach at Westlake, now coaching ECU's outside linebacker. So you have that connection. Also high school teammates with Demarius Hines, a safety who is originally from Westlake too. So he is the third commit. ECU also still has a tight end committed who hasn't announced yet. Also another tight end visiting today. We have discovered, Phillip, if nothing else, the Pirates are going to recruit the tight end position, and it will still be a big piece of this offense based on how they're recruiting. The plan is to take 2. They've got 3 guys who redshirted this past year. That gives you 5 scholarship tight ends. there was some thought they may go away from 11 personnel and go back to more, one back personnel. And I think we're going to still see a lot of 11 personnel. I was doing some studying, and in the championship game against Tulane, they played 11 personnel 85% of the time. North Texas did. So I think we're still going to see a lot of 11 personnel. Maybe not as many 4 receiver sets as like Lincoln Riley used back in his or Mike Leach in his true air raid days. The air raid is kind of morphed over time into more of a balanced attack. It's not throw the ball 70% of the time necessarily anymore.
No, it's not. And, as to whether we see more 10 personnel, 1 back, no tight ends, or 11, 1 back, 1 tight end, I think a lot of it's going to come down to how many of these guys do you hit on, right? If you feel like you've got a really deep receiver room and not so good at tight ends, you'll run more 10. I think the coaching staff would like there to be tight ends who are part of the every down package. They will prefer 11 personnel, but also the good coaches are good at adapting to the roster. And sometimes, especially in this era where you have so much roster turnover, things don't go as you planned. There's only so many bodies out there. And if you don't land guys and they go somewhere else, they go somewhere else. This is not like you're just recruiting the high school ranks where you can, not saying you miss on guys there, but you can kind of see it evolving over time. It's like, crap, next year we don't have any tight ends. Guess we're going to have to go to 10 personnel. This sucks. Unless we get a standout 5-star freshman. That's not the scenario. You figure it out in spring ball. Ideally, yeah, you've got 4 to 5. Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to run a goal line set with 3. And God forbid somebody gets hurt, you need at least a 4th. So I would like to have 4 on the roster. Minimum 5 sounds better. But, it is what it is. And we're in the same boat as the other 135 FBS schools and everybody at the FCS level as well.
The good news is if all else fails, we can just put Ryan Roseborough out there as an H-back and let him knock somebody out or give him the football. So he is confirmed to be back next year, or at least has re-signed. All right, quick question here. We'll get a break in. Matt wants to know, did the new OC call plays in the bowl? Thought that was the case. So already more experienced than JDB when he got here. Yes, he called the plays in the North Texas Bowl game. So his first time calling plays will not be at Alabama. So that's a relief. Yeah, North Texas played the bowl game against a San Diego State defense, which was honestly one of the top in the entire country. And North Texas won the football game 49-47. North Texas and Jordan Davis's first time calling plays, 618 yards of offense, 368 yards rushing, 250 passing, and one of the running backs who ran for 152 yards in that game, Ashton Gray, is just wrapping up a visit at ECU right now. So Pirates trying to get him to come along with Jordan Davis. So he does have play calling experience now, and he's got plenty of experience calling plays and scrimmages and all that sort of stuff as well. All right, let's get our final break in. We'll come back. We will wrap up the show, maybe talk some NFL playoffs, get to any final questions after this.
Don't miss year-end deals during the season of giving at Greenville Toyota. Drive a new Camry, just $229 a month, $229 a month, or new RAV4, $279 a month, $279 a month. Hurry in for the season of giving at Greenville Toyota.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville, we've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
The season of giving is here at Greenville Toyota. Unwrap a new Corolla, $159 a month, $159 a month. Or new Tacoma, $219 a month, $219 a month. Don't miss the season of giving with year-end deals at Greenville Toyota.
We're live with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, final segment here, Hoist the Colors. Busy show today. A lot of great commenters again. And a lot of great listeners. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Means a lot. Again, make sure to like the 94.3 The Game YouTube, Facebook pages. We continue to grow those social media platforms as well. And take advantage, 50% off Hoist the Colors right now. A lot of scoop on the message boards if you're into that. If you want to know what's happening behind the scenes, we will have you covered there. Quick question from the Facebook chat. Jay wants to know, what are we hearing about TJ Engelman? Is he staying? Playing and wait and see. TJ has not announced anything. I would think that he's a guy who, I mean, to me, I think would be crazy to leave because right now he'd be arguably your starting running back. Even if they bring in a guy or two, you're still top three. And if you're top three at a running back at a top group of five school, you're going to get a lot of carries. And I think he'd be crazy to leave, but that's just my opinion on it. So I haven't heard anything one way or the other. All right, NFL playoffs. Philip Hilkinen rejoins us. His Panthers are in. They may be the only under 500 team, but hey, they're in, and they, like everybody else playing this weekend, are 3 wins away from a Super Bowl appearance. So Panthers host the Rams, Packers at Bears, Bills, Jags, Niners at Eagles, Chargers at Patriots, and the Texans at Steelers. We'll make our picks later this week, Philip, but this slate, man, it is juicy. I love the playoffs, and I especially love when my team is the number 1 seed. I can sit back and watch it all, enjoy everybody else's misery. What games have your attention outside of the obvious Rams-Panthers?
Oh, my goodness. Which ones don't have my attention?
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is the year, I think, that maybe the Texans can go on a deep run. And on top of that, they're playing the Steelers, who are the worst team in the AFC side of the playoff bracket, probably the second worst team in the playoffs overall, behind my, just ahead of my Panthers. So there's that. There's the 49ers, whose defense is banged up, against the Eagles' offense, who can't get their crap together. I feel like there's a good 3-6 game in the AFC. Oh, the Patriots are playing the Chargers. You got the Bills and Jags. I mean, oh my goodness, it's got to be better than the last Jags-Bills playoff game, which was in 2017. Actually, coincidentally, it was the last time the Panthers were in the playoffs. That was boring as heck. That was Nathan Peterman. It was like 9-3 or something. But, oh my goodness, all these games. I am so intrigued.
I think Bills-Jags might be my winner, man. I think, look, Jacksonville, obviously a team that doesn't typically get to host a lot. And then if you're Josh Allen, like, no Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Burrow, but your team around you is kind of bad, unfortunately. So it's like it's a weird year where, like, I think there's pressure on the Bills because there's no big roadblock, but they're also a 6 seed, and they're got to win 3 road games, most likely, to make the Super Bowl. So, like, I I don't know. Honestly think they're either like one and done or they make a run to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, the tough thing is if they win, they will most likely go to Mile High. That is unless the Chargers beat New England, which I don't think's off the table, right? But that's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough in Mile High, but yeah, you're the best quarterback finally in the playoffs. It's you, and it's not just on your side. You're probably the best quarterback overall other than maybe Matthew Stafford right now. So, because Goff isn't there, you're better than Hurts. So, better than Sammy D. Come on, see what you got, Josh Allen.
Lane Smith, unsurprisingly, calling for a Eagles-Broncos Super Bowl. Eagles win 33-17.
Hey,
I mean, I would take – I don't know. After experiencing the Super Bowl losses, I think I'd rather lose in the divisional round than lose the Super Bowl. Losing the Super Bowl is a terrible feeling.
Losing the Super Bowl does stink, but the one thing I will say, Lane, that should give you hope, the Broncos suck against the NFC East in the Super Bowl, right? They've already lost the Cowboys, already lost the Redskins, already lost the Giants. You can complete the NFC East Grand Slam over the Broncos. Because other than that, they're pretty darn good. 3-1 when not playing NFC East teams.
We'll see if it happens. We'll break it down, make our picks later this week. Quickly before we get out of here, Matt wants to know Dewan Lacey, any word on him? He is confirmed back for next year. He announced that. And also, we had a question, if I can find it. I may have exited out of it from Facebook. I'll try to find it, circle back to it tomorrow. So sorry about that. All right, we're out of time here on a Tuesday. Again, tomorrow we've got Sam Danka and Peyton Mangrum, 2 former Pirates, will join us. We'll have more portal news and a whole lot more. Appreciate you guys joining us. Thanks to Philip as well. We'll see you tomorrow at 12 noon.